doesn't matter. At the end of the day, those things are depleting you of amino acids. And
Right.
so what I've found is that the deficiency is the major thing. You just react very typically to the amino acids, meaning you respond very well. The
Right.
people, the smaller population of people who don't respond very well, it's because they're on fire in some other way. Their gut is
Right.
on fire, their adrenals are on fire, something is on fire, and it's like you've got to put the fire out because they're just working on adrenaline and cortisol right now, and nothing's going to calm them down. So I guess what I'm saying is this is like when people say, "Oh, like people with mold, your anxiety might be the result of mold." Yeah, that's 100% true. However, you can feel better before you deal with the mold. Do you know
Correct.
what I mean?
Right. And then it
So
makes your
you
mold detox a lot easier.
right, because guess what your body doesn't do? Detox well under stress. So if we can reduce the stress in your body will just naturally support mold detox better and
Yes.
easier.
Welcome to Take Back My Brain with Laurie Hammer, where real healing starts in the brain. I'm Laurie, a functional nutritionist and mom who's walked the path from anxiety and burnout to clarity and calm. Each week, we're going to dive into brain-based tools like amino acid therapy, gut health, fasting, and faith to help you reclaim your energy, emotions, and sense of self. Hey, Dr. Chris, welcome back.
Hey,
Good to
thanks.
have you again. I
Yeah, it's
love
good to be here again.
Good. Yeah. Today we're going to dive into, for all you listeners, we're going to dive into the missing piece in mental health and kind of talk about traditional approaches that fail and why amino acid therapy is a good option for a lot of people out there to, come alongside as they're dealing with mental health issues and also to help them get off their medication. So I know you and I were talking before, like we love this topic. This topic
Love this topic. Yeah.
Love this topic because our mental health model in this country is sadly broken. And there is an epidemic of anxiety and depression that I feel like is being misdiagnosed, underdiagnosed, poorly medicated. You can't medicate away a nutrient deficiency. So I see people all the time coming into my office on Zoom calls and everything. They're like, I'm on this med. I've been on this med for 20 freaking years and I
Yep.
still feel anxious and depressed. Well, one, why are you on that medication? Right?
Right.
Like, why does your doc still have you on there? And they come in, like, I had a lady the other day, she had 15 different medications they had tried in the last 2.5 years. Do you
Wow.
at any point think that maybe we should not try medications? Maybe we should look in a different direction. Maybe there's a huge
Yep.
nutrient deficiency, right? We trialed her. She was so deficient in amino acids. And she's like, I have not felt this calm since high school.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they tried 15 different medications with her. Like it was just, she's like, I can't believe it was that easy. She was crying. Like,
Hmm.
how easy can that get? And then we could deal with the hormone issues and then we can deal with whatever is underlying. But you go into the mainstream medical system and there's fabulous doctors out there and they are all out there. Most of them are out there because they want to help people, but they're in a broken system. And so then they do broken things. And that is the frustrating piece. And I see people that are so damaged by being on these SSRIs, these ADHD meds. Oh my gosh, putting these kids on these ADHD meds when they're 7. And then all of a
Right.
sudden they come to me when they're 35 and they've been on them for that long. Like, I feel like that's medical malpractice. Like, we
Yeah.
have to take a bigger look at it. And, here I am going on my soapbox, right, Chris?
Well, it's
This
your
is
soapbox.
like
It's
on
okay.
fire, Lori.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not the
Absolutely. Well,
calm mom. This is the
no,
mom
this is
of
not the
dare
call
coming
mom.
out.
This is mom on a mission,
Yeah.
which is good because one, I mean, SSRIs and these mood altering medications are everywhere, right? And so
Yes.
they're popular. It's a hot topic. It's been in the news lately. I was just talking with a patient because everybody's talking about SSRIs because everybody's finally finding out what you've always known, Lori, and that's all of these SRIs come with what on the box?
Oh, wait. It's a black box warning.
Right.
It's a
Which means what?
suicide warning.
Right. So so people are starting to um, find out exactly how dangerous these SSRIs are. But that still doesn't change the discomfort that people have in talking about it because
Yes.
because there is definitely a lack of understanding, a lack of knowledge. And then what to do as an alternative. And I do like I agree 100% with what you said. And I will also say this too. It doesn't matter if you've been on a medication for 20 years or you've been on a supplement for 20 years. If
Right.
it's not making you feel different, why are you doing it?
Yeah,
Like,
because we don't
why
want
are
to
you
be in
doing it?
symptom management. That's
Right.
not the deal. You
Right.
know,
So things I truly believe that if something's going to make a difference for you, it's going to make a difference for you in a relatively short period of time, easily within 30 days, but usually less than 30 days, you'll feel a shift. Because if it's good for you, your body loves it, you're going to feel it. In some way, shape, or form, you're going to feel it. That doesn't mean that you're going to heal in 30 days. It just means you're going to feel that symptomatic shift
yes.
very quickly for something that you desperately need. And you don't have to wait and you don't have to think, oh, I can't stop this because there's no other alternative. There's always something different, another medication, another supplement, another therapy. There's always something you can try. But what I was telling you is like I was having this conversation with this mom and of an adult child, and she's really into health and nutrition, and he's on SSRIs. And so she's been doing a lot of research and she's finding out all this information that you and I have known about for years. And she's like, I can't believe how dangerous these are for people. And I've told my son, and he's like, I can't make a change now because my life's so stressful. I'm too stressed out to
Too
change.
stressed out to
Right.
make the change.
Right. Which I get. It's like you feel like you're in the storm and you're like, I am just holding on for dear life right now. I can't make a change because that's going to stress me out. Meanwhile, you and I are outside of the situation. We're thinking, wow, you can handle this better after if we just sat down and had a conversation for 30 minutes to an hour.
Right.
I'm confident we could find something really simple that would actually alleviate your stress and make you um, help you deal with your wedding in 2 weeks, your moving in 3 weeks, your new
Right.
job in 4 weeks. Like we can help you navigate this, but um, it's scary for a lot of people, which again is wonderful to be around Lori because it's not scary for her. She just knows the truth and speaks the truth and it is what it is. And that's wonderful to be that way. Having been in practice for 20 years, like I'm very confident in certain things and most of my patients aren't. And it doesn't matter what I
Right.
say to them. It doesn't matter. They're like, can I just have you in my pocket or can you come with me when I
I
go to
know,
my
right? Can
doctor?
you come live with
Because
me, please?
right.
Yeah.
Right. I got a doctor's appointment. Do you want to come with me? Because he's going to try to talk me into this, and I don't
Yeah.
know how to explain
Yeah.
to him what you said.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, SSRIs and other mood altering medications, they're just a big deal right now. And there's a lot of information out there that people, I don't want to say should have because I don't want to should over all over anybody, but having that knowledge and confidence can really help you make a better decision and not a decision out of fear. And
Well,
it's when we make these
that's the huge thing, isn't it, Chris? Like that spirit of fear. You know, God
yeah,
didn't give us a spirit of fear. He gave us one of power, love, and a sound mind. And
yeah,
so power, so we know what we need to do, right? We've got the Holy Spirit in us, the power, the love, and then a sound mind. And people are so afraid not to have that sound mind. You know, Alzheimer's, dementia is so prevalent right now. And
yeah.
so our age group is like, oh, you know, mom has dementia. So, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid of getting dementia. But then that fear alters our brain chemistry. That fear alters our thought processes. And I feel like we live in this society that's very fear based.
Yeah, yeah, and marketing is very sophisticated
Correct.
nowadays, and it understands human psychology and it understands sociology, and so they know how to, quite frankly, manipulate people into making decisions out of fear where they normally wouldn't make those decisions in a calm state, right?
Right.
And so I mean, from a very young age, it's just based on my dad and who my dad is. It's like the second somebody tried to sell me anything by using fear or negatives, like my BS radar would go up and I'll be like, I'm just gonna walk away
Good.
from you and not trust anything you say, even if it's good for me. The way you're doing it is like you're trying to manipulate me into saying yes in some way, shape, or form. And so um people do it for a reason. It's effective.
Yeah.
But once you become aware of it, it doesn't mean you're going to manipulate people. It means you can become aware of how you are being manipulated by fear and worry
Right.
and what ifs. And well, if you stop what you're doing, you might go back to what you were before, and you probably don't want that. So you better just stay with this for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And
Like,
here's six other medications on top of that one to deal with it.
yeah,
Yeah. Just gets
yeah,
my blood. It gets my blood boiling because our society, because of our food system, the environment, there's so many things that deplete us, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
it's normalized that you have anxiety. It's normalized that you have ADHD. It's normalized all of these things because that's just what everybody has. It's an epidemic of burnt out people. And so
Yeah.
you can't medicate burnt out people. You can't medicate away a nutrient deficiency. You actually have to go fix the nutrient deficiency. And so we've created this whole society of nutrient deficient people. And Dr. Weston A. Price proved that 100 years ago, right? Like traveling all the world and looking at all these societies, the most nutrient depleted people have all of these issues. What we're
Yeah.
having right now. And so you have to go in and fix that. You have to fix the blood sugar crashes and the emotional crashes and those kind of things. And you can't fix them with a medication. We can't keep medicating our population and expecting different results.
Yeah. You know, when I was in chiropractic school and going through diagnosis and x-rays and looking at different conditions and all of these things, the the one thing that kept on being repeated to us was the hardest thing to identify is normal. It's
Mm,
easy to identify abnormal, but it's hard to identify normal. And so what I think people struggle with is what does normal look like? And they think that they're mistaking their abnormal for normal,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's appropriate to at least talk a little bit about what does a normal stress response look like, because that's what we would expect to see in somebody who doesn't have a problem.
Right.
It's like we all have stress in our life. Amino acids don't stop the stress from coming at you, right?
Correct. Correct.
Right. But amino acids help you handle the stress better because, and I don't know how you describe it, but I basically say, look, when you're in a stress situation, you're going to burn through things faster because the fire is just hotter, right? And
Yep.
if you don't replenish them either through your own microbiome or through your diet, then you're just going to be in that heightened state of stress, burning through them more and more and more and having less and less and less. And that's that kind of vicious cycle that people get stuck in until they crash.
Yeah.
Uh, and so you shouldn't be crashing after a bad interaction with your boss or being on vacation with your family. We can have a disagreement. We can have these stressful situations where we have money issues or family issues or legal issues and get through it and then come out the other end and go back to baseline and be normal. Like
Right.
that is a healthy response, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm even thinking of just saving your marriage. And I have so many because I see mainly women, right? And they'll be like, "Yeah, my husband doesn't bother me as much anymore." You know what I mean? Didn't
Mhm.
change. Amino acids didn't change his habits. Amino acids didn't change what's going on with the husband, but it changed their response to their
I mean,
husband, right?
yeah.
And
I
I've
mean, if
even
I'm
yeah, and
go
I
ahead.
was gonna
No, you go
say I've
ahead.
even had husbands call me in the appointment with their wife. They're like, "Hey, so and so, my hubby really wants to talk to you," just to thank me. Like,
Yeah,
and then they want to be on the amino acids too. They're like, this has totally changed her response to life. Like, because she's not burnt out. So she's not yelling at the kids. She doesn't want to go down in the laundry room in a corner and hide from everybody because it's just too overwhelming. That's not normal, right?
no,
The normal response would be, okay, we need to take a break as a family because mom's overwhelmed right now and I'm going to go take a nap kind of thing. Like, or
yeah,
you're able to navigate life
yeah,
appropriately. Yeah.
yeah. I would say if I'm going to be completely honest and like just give a little insight to the shift that happens, I would say specifically the way amino acids help in a marriage, or at least I've seen it in my marriage, is that you realize that blaming the other person isn't actually
Is it actually the issue?
the issue, Like all of a sudden you're like, or things still fall apart, and then all of a sudden I realize, oh, you know what? It actually isn't her fault. All of a sudden, like the ability to be empathetic, all of a sudden to be like, you know what? I'm just angry. I'm angry. It's not anything to do with anybody else. I can see that now. Like all of a sudden, it's like I can actually see that now,
Right.
and which is important, from an emotional, spiritual standpoint, to stop blaming other people for your problems, right?
Right.
But amino acids just all of a sudden just kind of opened that insight and allowed allowed talk therapy to work better, as an example. Right now, all of a
Exactly.
sudden, like you get these emotional and spiritual breakthroughs all of a sudden. So I wanted to share that from a guy's perspective of because you see women a lot, and it's like the same thing happens to husbands and men too. All of a sudden, our anger kind of just goes down a little bit, and we start to see the world the way it is, and not the way we think it is.
Right, right. And I think, do you think it's harder for guys? I mean, because us women, we talk all the time, right? We're just going to share our emotions. And, like my hubby, he's very stoic, very,
Yeah,
very reserved in what he thinks, says, and feels. But I know he feels really deep. And um, when he does take the amino acids, one, he's a little more talkative. And he
yeah.
doesn't, his response to stressors in life is it doesn't stress the rest of us out. So I think if your responses are stressing your family out, that's a pretty key indicator that that's not a normal response.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't want to say it's tougher for guys. I'll just say it's different for guys. I think um, guys want to take a certain amount of burden on themselves. You
Yeah.
know, they want to take care of their wife, they want to take care of their families. And so they see it as a good thing to not burden other people with things. But at some point, it becomes, what I would call too as like the wounded dog,
Yeah.
where when that's the say hurt people. That the whole thing of is like you can just see it when guys get angry or they shut down. There's some sort of um emotional wound there usually, sometimes a physical wound, but like there's an emotional wound there, and it doesn't have to be as deep as you need to go counseling. It just has to be that you don't feel like yourself, or you're angry all the time and you
Right.
don't know why,
Right.
and you can't explain it. And so why talk about it if I can't explain it to you,
Right. Right.
because I think most guys don't process things through talking them out. They
Yeah.
process things through thinking them out.
Well, and
So,
then you end up at the doctor's office because you're like, there's something wrong with me. And then they give you a
yep,
medication because there's something wrong with you. You have a chemical imbalance. And there's some amazing studies that have come out. This is like, that's not even a thing.
right.
So, a chemical imbalance is not a thing, and a medication doesn't fix that chemical imbalance. So it
Right.
just actually alters your receptor sites in your brain for those specific nutrients so that you can't absorb tryptophan correctly or your minerals or your B vitamins or whatever because they're damaged and you
Hmm.
don't have that recycling process that goes on in the brain anymore. And so that leaves you nutrient deficient. So you go in nutrient deficient, you get a medication, and then you come out even more nutrient deficient than you
Yep.
started. And then you add, blood sugar crashes on that. And so that's why, when we started this, like our mental health system is so broken because none of it goes back to the foundations. None of it goes back to, do you actually digest your food? If you don't digest your food, you can't break down protein. If you can't break down protein, then you don't have amino acids to go
Right.
around to rebuild your neurotransmitters so that you can have less stress in your life. So we have to go back to, well, let's fix the deficiency. Let's support that nervous system, support those neurotransmitters. Then let's work on your digestive process because once we got that nervous system calmed down, oh my goodness, we can actually teach your body how to digest correctly and change your
Yep.
lifestyle. Like we don't even go back to those things anymore, right? So we have to go back to the lifestyle. We have to go back to, are you eating 17 times a day? And why is your blood sugar crashing? Because if your blood sugar crashes all the time, you're going to
Right.
deplete yourself all the time and you're going to be on this huge like roller coaster, this hamster wheel that never ever stops. And that's why, we're always talking about go back to amino acid therapy because it's the foundation. Protein and fat are the foundations of
Yep.
everything your body needs. And so if you don't have those foundational components, you cannot heal your brain, you can't heal your nervous system, and you're always going to be anxious and depressed no matter how many meds you're on. Because
Right.
most of the time, those meds, if they work for a little bit, great. But then long term, they don't work. And then the people are on them for 20 and 30 years. And I just don't understand that thought process.
Well, I think most people want to feel better first, and that's what drives
Totally.
them to all of these meds, right? But then, like you're saying with the amino acid, it's like you're deficient in these amino acids. You naturally want to ask the question, well, why? And
Right.
then from the patient's perspective, you're like, okay, this is great, but I don't want to be spending all this money for the rest of my life. How do I eventually get off of these, right?
Right.
And so that naturally brings us to the why aren't you getting this from your food? How come you're not digesting your food? Most people don't actually realize that the amino acid that we use, your body also makes, right? The
Hmm.
good bacteria in your gut make things, and the reason why they're good is because they make good things for you, right? So there
Right.
are bacteria in your gut that make GABA. there are bacteria in your gut that make tryptophan. So why aren't you making it? How come you don't have those good guys? How come you don't have them in more abundance? And so
Right.
that's always the leading question with aminos is like, okay, so now what can we do to heal your gut? Because the gut brain connection that everybody loves talking about today, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
all love talking about it, is very, very real. And we don't ignore it with amino acid therapy. We are putting a really, really good band-aid on. And like it's better. I don't even know if a band-aid is a good enough explanation. We're giving you back what you don't have, right?
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and worst case scenario is you're just taking these for the rest of your life because you can't make them and your gut's all messed up. And that's the worst case scenario is that you're gonna feel great for the rest of your life. You're just gonna have to
Right.
do it through, right? That's not a bad worst case scenario.
Way better
Um,
than medication for the rest of your life, right?
that's right.
Right. But
Exactly.
that's not the goal either. The goal is not for you to be on supplements for the rest of your life. The goal is
Right.
to fix the deficiencies and then address the underlying cause why you have the deficiencies in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's reasonable. And I would say that 99, if not 100% of people who walk in our doors want that.
Yes.
That's what they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
And that's very reasonable. And I would say that's very doable. Um, I'm always hopeful, as I'm sure you are, that you can restore somebody's health.
Yes.
We always we always run into reality, right? It's like if you break your leg, does that mean your leg's gonna we have the ability to heal your leg back to the way it was before it was broken? Hmm, maybe. You might walk with a limp a little bit. It might be sore in like storms and stuff. And so healing looks different for everybody. The sooner you get to healing, the more you can recover, right? So
Right.
like somebody who like one of your clients who's a teenager in her 20s is going to heal more complete and better than somebody in their 50s or 60s. It just is the
It is
reality.
just what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But everybody's going to heal. Like I haven't seen anybody not get better yet with this. It's amazing. I love it.
I
Love it.
know. It's a lot of fun. I mean, even if you don't respond amazingly well to the amino acids, because there's always going to be a handful of people where, you go through
Mhm.
the whole trialing package. And when I say trialing package, if you haven't heard these episodes before, we open up the capsule of an amino acid, put it underneath your tongue, wait a couple minutes, and then, hey, what do you feel? Does something feel different cognitively, emotionally, or physically? And when we're doing that, all of a sudden, the light comes on for most people, but there's always a few out there that it just
Yeah.
doesn't. And then we know we just have to address some other things first because their body just isn't able to respond to that at the moment. And that's okay. But it's the trialing process is what helps us to get to that place to say, are these going to work to rebuild your nervous system and to calm
Yeah.
that down so that we can go ahead and address those other issues? But like you and I are working on a mutual client right now, and her Lyme disease is so prevalent right now, and her cortisol is so high that really, unless we deal with some immediate stuff first, those amino acids aren't going to work. We did the trialing and she responded to a few, which was great. But when she takes them internally, because her digestion is so messed up, there's an issue there. So we have to work around a few things first. But most of the time, over 90% of the time, it's not that way. It's like people just respond to the amino acids.
Yeah, that's 100%. That's 100% correct because it doesn't matter if your anxiety is caused by high cortisol levels, by
Right.
hidden infections like Lyme or mold or heavy metals or all of these other things that are associated with anxiety and stress. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, those things are depleting you of amino acids. And
Right.
so, if what I've found is that if the deficiency is the major thing, you just react very typically to the amino acids, meaning you respond very well. The
Right.
people, the smaller population of people who don't respond very well, it's because they're on fire in some other way. Their gut is
Right.
on fire, their adrenals are on fire, something is on fire, and it's like you've got to put the fire out because they're just working on adrenaline and cortisol right now, and nothing's going to calm them down. So, um, we're not saying, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is this is like when people say, oh, like people with mold, your anxiety might be the result of mold. Yeah, that's 100% true. However, you can feel better before you deal with the mold. Do you know
Correct.
what I mean?
Right. And then it
So
makes your mold detox a lot easier.
right, because guess what your body doesn't do? Detox well under stress. So if we can reduce the stress in your body will just naturally support mold detox better and easier.
Yes. Yes. A
Yeah. So
thousand
there
percent.
yeah, there's an order. I mean, I guess what I've learned is there's an order to things now, right? And and I always thought there was an order, and I always tried different things, but amino acids just you start with amino acids, you calm the body down as much as you can, then you can start to address those underlying things and heal the gut. And I mean, I would say at the end of the day, if you know, it all kind of comes back to the gut because all these toxins destroy your gut, give you leaky gut, allow these hidden infections, these hidden toxins to become really bad in you. And that's where the meat of the work is. And I think a lot of people study that part, but they
Right.
ignore the amino acid part. And that's where a lot of people just hit walls because they're missing that first component,
Right. And it's
which
just foundational.
just found it. And that's why it's foundational. That's why it's the first, because like you so eloquently said, the reason why you need protein and fat is because you are protein and fat. Like
Right.
you're not carbs.
No.
everybody everybody thinks like you need carbs because you're not made of carbs. Carbs are good quick energy and there's some health and there are health benefits to carbs too, yes, but you're made of protein and fat. And if you want to rebuild and heal, you need protein and fat.
Right. And amino acids make up protein chains. And so you
That's
have
right.
to have those foundational that piece. And God designed our brains to heal, right? When we remove that interference and we give the body what it needs, then that piece, that healing, all of those things come in. Like he made this beautiful design. And we try
Yep.
to like usurp that design and go around the foundational piece when you always have to address foundations first.
You know what is what's the word I would think of? You know what's kind of like hypnotizing and fun about being a practitioner is getting going in the weeds and learning all the different things and
Oh,
oh
totally.
micromanaging this.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun, like it's like detective work. But you know, the reality is that you don't need to go into the weeds to help people. You
No,
don't
you don't. No.
you really don't. Things are much more simple, like amino acid therapy, the gut protocol that we go through, the detox protocol that we go through. Like it's designed to be simple and it's designed to not micromanage because no matter how much fun I have trying to understand the human body, like God's already designed it to be self-sufficient, and there's something that's stopping it from being efficient. And so the protocols are designed to eliminate the things that are causing the insufficiencies, right? So you're missing this amino acid. Boom, we can all of a sudden make the body more efficient. You have this hidden toxin that doesn't seem to be going away. Boom, we remove it, and then all of a sudden, you start to act normal. You have this PTSD experience, and you're having trouble processing it, and you go to therapy and talk therapy, and boom, all of a sudden, all of your symptoms get better because you got an emotional breakthrough.
Right.
Like it really is that simple of just finding those things that are stopping your body, and we definitely don't need to micromanage your body at
No,
all.
not at all. Yeah. If we're going back to the mental health piece, I have seen firsthand people who have had voices in their heads on psychotropic medications because of these voices, diagnosed with schizophrenia, bipolar, whatever. We changed their diet out, even outside of the amino acids, just changing their diet, like removing things that they are sensitive to, those voices went away.
Yeah.
Right. So it was never a mental health issue.
Right.
It was something that was irritating their nervous system. And so that should always be our first line of defense. What is more foundational than going, what's my body sensitive to? Right. We're going to fix the deficiencies. What's my body sensitive to? Let's remove that interference. Let's fix those deficiencies. And then what do we have left over? Right. So the mental health system in our country is so broken
Mhm.
because nobody's addressing. Everybody's like, oh, you have this XYZ symptom. Okay, let's just medicate it, try to medicate it away. And it never, ever works. And we have this whole society that has normalized anxiety and dysfunction. And we have these kids that don't know who they are because they've been on medication since they were 5. They don't actually know how to feel. I have this client that she's 35 years old. She's been on meds since she was 12. When she came to me, she was on 5 meds. She'd been pretty much on those same 5 types of meds since she was 12 years old and she was 35. And so going through this whole process with her, she's like, I didn't know how to feel any of this. So was it
Yeah.
hard? Yeah, it was hard. The amino
Yeah.
acids helped. She's like loves the amino acids, and now she doesn't need, super high doses of them anymore. She's cutting back on them. And she's like, but these are like been my lifeline as I come off these meds and like learn how to navigate life on life's terms. Like, what does it feel to actually be like real angry? What does that feel like as opposed to a medicated angry or a medicated sadness? Like she just, experiences sadness in her life. And she's like, but I navigated it. She went
Yeah.
home to be with her family for a little bit. And she's like, I have never been with my family unmedicated. And we, talked through it before she went, talked through it when she came back. She's like, it wasn't that bad. I handled them really, really well. And they saw a different me that wasn't medicated. And so, like, all of a sudden, you get to be this person that God created you to be off of this medication. And the world
Yeah.
gets to experience you that way. And you're working on your nutrition at the same time as she's training for a marathon. And like all these beautiful things have happened since she decided like, hey, I don't want to be this way anymore. I don't want to be on these meds. I know there's something deeper in me because when you put these kids on these medications, they don't have any idea who they are, who they're created to be.
Well, they don't, at 12 years old, they don't know who they are.
No, I mean
Nobody
just
knows.
in general, like my
Just in
kids are
general,
like,
yeah.
what? I mean, I want to be Superman or I want to go be an electrician and now he's a piano tuner. So like they don't know.
They
So
don't.
I
Right.
But you have to give them the tools to do that. And just because somebody is struggling doesn't mean they need a medication. Let's just figure out why that's happening to begin with.
Hey,
And as a practitioner, I think, do the foundations first. Just
right.
do the foundations first. And amino acid therapy is the foundation for all of that.
Since I got fired up Lori here and we started talking about SSRIs, do you want to just like quickly, I don't know if you could do it quickly. Do you want to just kind of talk about what they're actually doing and what they're trying to do compared to what like an amino acid would do? Just like real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So an SSRI tells your body's own system, hey, you don't need to make serotonin in a nutshell. So we have serotonin receptors.
Isn't it, aren't you taking an SSRI because you have low serotonin symptoms though?
Correct. You're taking an SSRI because your serotonin symptoms are low. So the misnomer that people have is that when they take an SSRI, that gives their body makes more serotonin in their body when it
Right.
actually doesn't. So basically it puts their serotonin mechanism to sleep. The medication comes in, falsely inflates serotonin in between the two synapses in the brain, and you might feel better for a little bit. But it basically just dampens your own body's production of serotonin. So it kind of like puts it to sleep, like you're in that dreamy world of serotonin. And then it stops your receptor sites from recycling. So you have receptor sites in all of your cells that will recycle whatever's left over after your body uses the serotonin. So there's an efficiency that goes on in the body. So those SSRIs shut down that efficiency that goes on in the brain, right? And
Mhm.
so that's how you become dependent on them because without it, you feel even worse because your own serotonin mechanism has basically been shut down. Whereas
Okay.
with amino acid therapy comes in and it nourishes the brain and it kind of wakes them up. It's kind of like people say their brain starts to tingle, when they take the amino acids because all of a sudden it's being fed. It's kind of like you're so exhausted and you haven't eaten all day and you eat and all of a sudden you have more energy. That's what happens when you give the body the amino acids. All of a sudden those serotonin receptors go, oh, hi, good morning. We are here. We're going
Right.
to produce things today. We're not sluggish anymore because you've given us the nutrition that we need. So that's it in a nutshell.
So I guess, like I'm sure you've heard this and I've heard this thing, people talk about, oh, I don't want to take melatonin because if I take melatonin, I'm not going to make it. If I take progesterone, I'm not going to make it. If I take these hormones, I'm not going to make it, which we know isn't necessarily true. But
Right.
what you're saying is that with SSRIs, it's 100% true. They are
100%. Yeah.
shutting down your own body's ability to make serotonin.
Right. And we don't know what else they're shutting down. Let's just be honest. Like the studies really haven't proved that they don't affect anything else. In fact, they've proved that they actually affect like your norepinephrine and they affect your dopamine and they affect so many other things in your brain.
Well, that makes sense because it's
Yeah.
connected, right? They're all connected, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Um, and who, what does it say? It's who is SSRIs recommended for, like according to the medical model? Because I know there's black, and we talked about the black. the black box warning on it, but like it's
They
not like.
they put kids on as young as 2.
But is it approved for kids as young as 2?
Yeah.
So in your experience, then when people get transition onto amino acids and you're working with their practitioner, right, to help wean them off of their medication, how long does it usually take somebody? I know it depends on how long they've been on it, right? If they've been on it for 26 years, it's going to take a longer time than somebody who's been on it for
Sometimes
2
not
years.
though. Yeah, sometimes it's fairly quick just depending on how their body responds. So, um, you know, 90 days, 90 days to 6 months depending on how many meds you're on and what kind of meds you're on.
Yeah. I mean, what I like about amino acid therapies is that when people do have this desire, when they have this understanding of, I don't want to be on this medication and I know I shouldn't need it, but I've tried to get off of it and I can't, and
Right.
I don't know how to get off this medication. The nice thing is that amino acid therapy does give you that opportunity to heal your body so that if you have the desire to reduce your medication or even get off your medication, you can effectively work with your doctor to reduce those levels and still be supported nutritionally so you don't crash, right? So it
Right.
actually gives you that mechanism to be able to make those choices.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking of a client that I've been working with and she's just slowly tapered off and it took her really just 90 days to get off, but she was just on one medication. But each time she dropped it down, with her doc, there was a little bit of a lull, but we bring some extra amino acids in and then that lull would, go away. Right.
Hmm.
So that's the beautiful thing. And it does stop some of those, like brain zaps are a huge thing for people. Every time I try to come off
Yes.
my medication, I get these brain zaps, or if I forget it for a day, I got brain zaps and it takes like a week for them to go away. It is really, 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 really rare to have that when you're on the amino acids and tapering.
Yeah. But it's a great tool to help people who are looking to taper to
Yes.
find an amino acid practitioner who can work with the doc who puts you on those medications, like working together. It's a very efficient, it's a very effective way of doing it. I wish I
Yeah.
knew of another way to do it. I don't know of another way, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Um,
No. And if you have a really good psychiatrist or doc, some people are on other medications like Prozac, and you can do like a Prozac bridge. And there's so many different things you can do. So you do want to work with a qualified practitioner. I have a list of those. If any of you want that, I'm happy to find somebody who can work with you from my Mind Thrive certification. If you're a practitioner out there, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to learn amino acid therapy. This sounds amazing. You do need to learn it. You really, really do. So contact me, or it'll be in the show notes where you can check out the Mind Thrive course that Dr. Chris has been in for a very long time with me. And this has been a fantastic conversation. Yeah, you get the jazzy Laurie when we start talking about this stuff.
that's right.
I get
This has
so
been
passionate
great.
because I hate to see people suffering for so long. It just drives me nuts. So
Yeah.
no, we shouldn't. We have a sound mind in Christ, power, love, and a sound mind, not the spirit of fear. Amen.
Amen.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Dr. Chris, for being here with us again. And we will see you all in the next episode. Thanks for listening to Take Back My Brain. If today's episode helped you connect with hope or direction, I want you to follow the show, leave us a review, and share it with someone who needs it. And if you're ready to start your own healing journey, explore our courses and our coaching programs at lauriehammer.com/store. So until next time, remember, you cannot medicate away a nutrient deficiency, and healing your brain isn't just possible, it's powerful.